Hello learners, today we are going to discuss plagiarism. I am Dr. Amiteshwar Ratra, Associate Professor at Staff Training Research Institute of Distance Education from Indira Gandhi National Open University, NAC A++ University from New Delhi. So what is the need to discuss plagiarism? Why are we discussing plagiarism? Why is plagiarism the talk of the day among all the researchers, supervisors, policymakers, teachers, scholars, nationally as well as internationally? When we are doing plagiarism, the misconduct in research mars the basic need and the purpose for which the research was conducted. So when we are doing research, research means to research, read-search, the meaning of the basic ideas for which we are writing a paper, publishing a thesis, writing a book, or even at times just discussing some point at some forum. So when we come over to the meaning of plagiarism from the dictionary, the Merriam-Webster online dictionary says that to steal and pass off the ideas, to use another person's production without crediting, to commit literacy theft, to present the old idea as one's own, and even one's own idea, when I present it again without giving due credit to my earlier presentation, also amounts to plagiarism now. So how does the word plagiarism originate? If we look into the origin of the word, plagiarism is from plagiarize. Plagiarize is from the Latin word plagiarius, which means kidnapper, and then also from the Latin word plaga, which also means a net used by hunters to catch game. So when we have the extended meaning in Latin to includes the person who stole the words. So in 1755, the word plagiarism was included in Samuel Johnson's dictionary and was defined as a theft in the literature. So one who steals the ideas, thoughts, writings of another would amount to plagiarism. So what is the idea? Ideas are generally free-floating. Where knowledge is concerned, when we discuss knowledge, when we develop some theories, when we do some researches, knowledge is anything and everything that I can acquire from observation, from direct observation, from indirect observation, by being a participant, by looking into some material, into literature, into books, into mass media, films, videos. We do hear that some, even the songs can be plagiarized. The music can be plagiarized. Not only the written word is plagiarized only. So anything that is accredited has to be acknowledged while we are using it. So ideas are available free, but then they are available only as a food for thought, not to be made it as my own, not to just say that I cooked this cake. I have to acknowledge the recipe from where I took this idea. So this is very important to avoid plagiarism. Material can be copyright or copyleft. Now at this moment we have a lot of open access material also. And with the upcoming of the all data being available on Web 2, and once we do a Google search or Yahoo search or any other internet website that we are searching, we get a lot of material. Google Scholar gives a lot of material related to some idea, some research topic that I am interested to work upon. Then that area of research may or may not have been exactly reproduced by somebody. It may be that what idea I want to work, say now in New Delhi, might have been some area that was researched in Japan, was some idea that was researched in, say, Madhya Pradesh. So my locale might be different, but at the same time, if I don't acknowledge the previous resources from where I am looking into the ideas, then my new research also would be plagiarized. So one has to be careful. Even in both copyright and both copyleft, the material has to be properly acknowledged. Now, with a lot of discussions and talks on the use of plagiarism, a lot of things that developed and led to the University Grants Commission, UGC, coming up with the regulation for plagiarism. The regulation for plagiarism, promotion of academic integrity and prevention of plagiarism in higher educational institutions, regulations 2018, came into effect from 23rd July 2018. And they say that it shall be applicable to the students, faculty, researchers, staff of all higher educational institutions of the country. Then plagiarism regulation also defines academic integrity as the intellectual honesty in proposing, performing, reporting any activity which leads to the creation of intellectual property. Then plagiarism itself has been defined as the means, the practice of taking someone's else work or idea and passing them as your own. And then it also defines institutional academic integrity panel, which means that the body constituted at the institutional level would consider recommendations of the departmental academic integrity panel and take appropriate decisions in respect of allegations of plagiarism and decide upon the penalties to be imposed, and in some cases the plagiarism might be investigated even at the institutional level. So further we see that the important another definition that the UGC regulations for plagiarism says is on script and source. Script includes the research paper, thesis, dissertation, chapters in book. Then we have full-fledged books. Then any other similar work submitted for assessment, opinion leading to the award of master degree or research level degrees, that could be MPhil and PhD, or lead to publications in print or electronic media. At this moment, as you all are aware, that lot of material is also printed electronically. There are many e-journals, e-books. So it could be hard copy or a soft copy by the students or faculty or researcher or staff of a higher education institution, and shall exclude, it will only exclude the assignments, the term papers that the students submit, the project reports and the coursework, essays and answers script submitted by the students. So the script and the material that would be looked into is been defined. Then we come over to the source. Source means the published primary and secondary material from any source whatsoever and include written information and opinion gained directly from other people, including eminent scholars, public figures and practitioners in any form whatsoever, so as also the data and information in the electronic form to be audio, video, image, text and information being the same meaning as defined under the section. They have clearly said that. So the reproduction of the material, whether it is from what it all means. So the reproduction of the material, whether it is in the form of audio, video, image or text. Text could be e-material or could be hardbound printed material in any form, whether it is primary or secondary, whether a public figure gave a lecture somewhere, the public figure gave a guest of honor lecture, gave anything, or was discussing some thing in a classroom also, has to be acknowledged. So otherwise the material may amount to being plagiarized. So further we would see that in the UGC regulations it has been clearly stated that the levels have been defined at which level the punishments have been constituted. So we would for curbing plagiarism among the students, the regulations have been declared for the all for researchers, students as well as the higher education institutions. So the higher education institutions will take care that the policy on plagiarism is publicly displayed on their website, and it is well known among the students, so that there is no amount to plagiarism among the staff and the faculty and the students of their own institution. The levels of plagiarism have been clearly defined into the this regulations which came under the Gazette notification. So it was clearly stated that there would be similarity checks for exclusion from plagiarism. And at Indira Gandhi National Open University, we use Urkand to do similarity check and check upon the plagiarism. So all the quoted works reproduced with all necessary permissions and attributions will be fine. All references, bibliography, table of content, preface and acknowledgements have to be in place. All generic terms, laws and standard symbols and standard quotations, which obviously cannot be changed, have to be there. Like we cannot change the Gazette notification of this UGC notification that came on the promotion of academic integrity and prevention of plagiarism in higher education institutions, regulations of 2018. Okay, so similarly we cannot all this is fine, but at the same time if we find that the script has been copied in the research papers, in the thesis, in the dissertations, chapters in a book, would lead to penalties. So even the level of plagiarism, when we look into put our material in a software, then the level of plagiarism is told. So and accordingly we have 4 levels defined in the UGC regulations. Level 0 is for the similarities up to 10%, which is minor similarity and there is no penalty for that and it is found to be okay. Then we have level 1 similarities, that is from 10% to 40%. Then we have level 2 similarities, 40 to 60%. Then we have level 3 similarities, that is above 60%. So detection, reporting and handling of plagiarism is the departmental academic integrity panel that is being made by the higher educational institutions, which will look into this matter. And this committee would have the head of the department as the chairperson. Then members can be nominated from the department and outside of the department to look into this. So when we are talking of the penalties, now I come back to the penalties. When there is a penalty in submission of say thesis and dissertations, then the levels of penalties is like from level 0, that is similarities up to 10%, there is no penalty. But when the similarities from 10 to 40%, then the level is level 1 and the student shall have to submit a revised script within a stipulated time period not exceeding 6 months. So the student would be given 6 months of time to revise the thesis or dissertation and resubmit it. When the level is from level 2, similarities between 40 to 60%, then such students shall be debarred from submitting a revised script for a period of 1 year. If the student commits a mistake of 40 to 60% plagiarism material submitted, then it is found so, then the student will be debarred for 1 year and would be given 1 year more extension to complete and revise the material. But if the student has similarities found above 60%, then that student shall be registration for that program would be cancelled. So if a student's thesis or dissertation we find a plagiarism up to 60 and above percent, then the registration for the PhD or MPhil program will be cancelled. Also note that there is repeated plagiarism. If the student is submitting the revised material and the level of plagiarism is not going at 10% or less, then the student might also be given another warning for it. So, and in case of the academics and their research publications, again up to 10% there is no penalty. Then up to 10 to 40% the manuscript has to be withdrawn from the print or the wherever e-journal, wherever it has been submitted. When the similarity is above 40 to 60%, the manuscript will be withdrawn and also one increment will be denied, and then they shall not be able to supervise any new masters, MPhil and PhD student for at least a period of 2 years. So, now and above 60% if the similarity is found, then definitely the manuscript is to be withdrawn. Two successive increments are stopped, and the uh, academician will not be able to supervise any new master's, MPhil and PhD student for a period of 3 years. And on repeated plagiarism, the amount of punishment shall be increased. So, and with time to time, they might be changing. So, we come over from the regulations, we come over why is plagiarism done? Whether plagiarism is always intentional, unintentional, or accidental. It could be that when I or my scholar is looking into the material, it could be that we accidentally missed some research paper that was similar to what we were working upon. It could be intentional that I looked into a research paper and intentionally did not make it mention, and it was unintentional that I was totally unaware of it, that there is something about it. But at the same time, whatever it may be, when it amounts to plagiarism, when it amounts to detection by the software, then the penalties does not make any change. Penalty will not look into whether it was intentional, unintentional, or accidental. Penalty will look into the fact that it is a plagiarized material, yes or no, whether it is 10% or less, or whether it is 10% and above. So, penalties has nothing to do with our intentions, whether we were able to find out or not. So, what leads to plagiarism? So, plagiarism is like copying some verbatim from others, not giving proper referencing, copying our own text, that is called self-plagiarism, giving wrong reference to the original source of information also amounts to plagiarism. So, what is self-plagiarism? After the regulations, UGC then later on in April 2020 came up with the regulations on self-plagiarism also. It was found that a lot of material, the person is recycling the own material. So, it was decided by the University Grants Commission to come up with this self-plagiarism notice. Then it says that the reproduction in part or whole of one's own previously published work without giving adequate citation and proper acknowledgement and claiming the most recent work as new and original for any academic advantage amounts to text recycling, also known as self-plagiarism. And this is not acceptable into the academic field. So, it also means that the text recycling includes republishing the same paper already published elsewhere without giving due and full citation, publishing smaller and accepted work from a longer and previous without due and full citations in order to show a larger number of publications, reusing data already used in published work, or communicating for publication in another work without due and full citation of one's own previous work, breaking up a longer or a larger study into smaller sections and publishing them as altogether new material without due and full citations, then paraphrasing one's own previously published work without due and full citation of the original work. Self-citations also do not add any numbers to the individual citation index and H index in global academia. It was also clarified that if such thing is found, that it will not help into the increase of the H index of the individual academia. Then for this also, this will have an impact on the promotion selections and obviously the credits that a person, number of students that a person can award, and so one has to avoid the self-plagiarism also. So what is how we can avoid it? The best part of the is that we should do proper referencing. If we are able to provide proper referencing, no wrong citations, proper citations using quotes and using in text as and when required, then we can avoid getting the avoid from plagiarism. So generally there are three referencing styles that are commonly used. It is APA style, then CMS style, and then MLA style. Modern Language Association citation is used if MLA generally for humanities. Chicago manual style is also used where for social sciences and law, and then for American Psychological Association citation is also used for social sciences. And depending upon what kind of citation one has to do, one looks into we first look into the journal, what kind of citation referencing style they are following, and depending on it we will decide which format one has to use. So one has also to take care of the fact that our material is properly using the referencing styles properly. So we have also to make sure that the material, the students are well aware of the fact of plagiarism. So to come up with this, then later on in the University Grants Commission decided to come up with research publication ethics and developed a course which is compulsory for all the research scholars enrolled for their research degree programs to do. It is a 2-credit course on which the students have to do course which will cover 6 units focusing on the philosophy of science and ethics, research integrity, publication ethics, hands-on sessions designed to identify research misconduct, predatory publications, indexing, citation, databases, open access, publications, research ethics, research metrics, citations, then H-index, impact factor. All these things have to be taught to all our scholars when we are dealing with this. So we also have to look into that the software tools like Turnitin and Urkund, which are generally used by major universities for assessment and evaluation of thesis which are submitted by the research scholar. So Turtin and Urkund, so they how to use them and what would be the mechanisms are also taught over. And then we also have some plagiarism detection softwares easily available, free of cost available on internet. These are few like DupliChecker, then we have copy leads. Such materials are also as we can see on our screen. Then Plagium, all such softwares that are Plag tracker. So these are some of the softwares, plagiarism checker, plagiarism. So some softwares that we generally used for our students. So before we wind up this session, let us just briefly summarize the session what we have just finished. That before we come into and say that our material is plagiarized free, we have to be sure that all the verbatims that we are using from other text or audios or videos is duly referenced. We are not even copying our own material from our own text, which will lead to self-plagiarism. We have to avoid that. And wrong referencing to the original source of data, source of information has also to be avoided. The literature that is generally available, as we also all are aware, is available in print form or in e-form, or also in audio and video forms, which might be available through. So we have to take care that we are not doing any plagiarism, whether it is when we are writing the introduction chapter, the background information, whether we are using the research tools, research techniques. And then we are definitely to look into the research papers and opinion papers. We have to do proper citation of primary data as well as primary resources as well as secondary sources. If we are using some material that has been cited in some other book and we have not been able to quote, we find that Panda 2003 has been quoted in some another book by say Biswa. So Biswa has quoted Panda 2003 in 2015. If I am not able to find the reference for 2003, I have to give proper reference of 2015 Biswa. I have to make sure that my referencing is appropriate. I have also to make sure that the personal communications that we receive, the mails, the letters, the interviews, the conversations, the face-to-face talks, the phone calls, anything, any material that I am taking from somebody else's ideas, idea can come in any form. The knowledge is available throughout us. So anything that I am taking, I should give due acknowledgement, due referencing. So personal communications have also to be noted. For example, I would note down that say Biswa personal communication, and it was from say it can be 2020 in March 19. So it has also to be noted in the references. So we have to do our own referencing, our own work which we had used earlier has to be used, and depending upon from which department one is doing, plagiarism has to be checked whether it is from social sciences or education or management, and depending upon humanities which referencing style one has to use has to be noted down. So also there are some softwares that are that help to make material, anti-plagiarism software, paraphrasing, quoting, citing. In such software should be avoided. One should take care that one writes in one's own words and make sure that we are able to uh, uh, reproduce, if we are reproducing others' matter, in a properly acknowledgements, proper citations, and proper referencing to avoid plagiarism. And with this, I would end this session now and hope that one avoids plagiarism in all our future work that we are academically undertaking. Take care.